Mothers out there are worried that we're going to have a draft, that they're going to see their sons get in and daughters get involved in this. What do you want to say about the president's plans for troops on the ground? As we know, it's been largely an air campaign up until now.
It has been, and it will continue to be, and President Trump wisely does not remove options off of the table. I know a lot of politicians like to do that quickly, but the president, as commander-in-chief, wants to continue to assess the success of this military operation. It's not part of the current plan right now, but the president, again, wisely keeps his options on the table.
So Mr. No New Wars won't rule out reinstating the draft, according to Caroline Leavitt, which is really odd because I thought that the president of peace said that we had already won this war. We haven't won the war. In fact, we woke up to images of black rain, oil fires, and Armageddon-like scenes all over Iran. And reports from residents in Tehran that they have been told to stay inside for fear of toxic acid rain. They need to worry about what they're eating because of contamination on food. They've bombed a desalination plant, and people report that it's difficult to breathe if they try to go outside or drive anywhere. A seventh U.S. soldier has now died. The State Department has bypassed Congress to send Israel more than 20,000 bombs, and the State Department has issued mandatory departure orders for diplomats in Saudi Arabia. All of this is the reality of a war that's being decided in Washington by men who are playing golf this weekend and men who think that it's fun to cosplay military heroes and then come up with cheesy slogans and sizzle reels on social media to celebrate their victories. These are the men who will decide if they're going to reinstate the draft and ship your boys off to war.
What would you say if there was a draft, mandatory military service, to send troops to Iran or the Middle East to fight in this war if it got any more serious? I mean, it's quite serious now, but I'm talking if it went more bigger scale, more countries involved. You know what I'm talking about? Check out this clip from Fox News and notice she didn't really say that's not going to happen. Listen to this.
Mothers out there are worried that we're going to have a draft, that they're going to see their sons get in and daughters get involved in this. What do you want to say about the president's plans for troops on the ground? As we know, it's been largely an air campaign up until now.
It has been, and it will continue to be, and President Trump wisely does not remove options off of the table. I know a lot of politicians like to do that quickly, but the president, as commander-in-chief, wants to continue to assess the success of this military operation. It's not part of the current plan right now, but the president, again, wisely keeps his options on the table.
Okay, hold on a second. I typed this in for the U.S., and I'm going to tell you what it says for Canada. But it says, no, there's no active duty military. Don't worry about that. But automated registration of the selective service system remains in place as a contingency, and it's going to start in late 2026. Now, when I typed in for Canada, is there a draft? Is there a mandatory military service? It says, no, Canada it's totally voluntary. It's been voluntary since World War II. In other words, it was mandatory during a world war. But it's not mandatory when there's no world war. You know what I mean? So if there was another world war, is all of a sudden, like, to me, it's not very convincing to say, like, no, don't worry about a draft. The last one was during a world war.
The White House is considering a military draft. No, I'm not exaggerating. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt was on an interview with Fox News, and the anchor asked her, hey, what do you say to those parents who are worried about their sons being drafted to fight in a war they don't agree with? And Caroline Leavitt basically said, oh, we're not ruling out any options. Let me explain to you what that really means. The only reason you even consider a military draft for a conflict is because you are planning a ground invasion and you are expecting it to have high casualty numbers. Every angle I look at this situation from, I can find no other reason that they're refusing to rule out a military draft other than they are planning a ground invasion of Iran. You may be telling yourselves, oh, this will be just like Vietnam. No, it will be so much worse. Unlike Vietnam, the government of Iran has spent the last 30 to 50 years preparing for this conflict because they knew it was coming. That means they are better prepared for the scenario, better supplied, and better trained. And it's also worth noting that as a percentage of Iran's land, they are one of the most mountainous countries on the planet. The Iranians know those mountains, the United States doesn't. So here are some things to keep in mind. First, look up conscientious objectorship. Figure out how to apply for it. Figure out how to win an application for conscientious objectorship, because that will keep you out of a draft. Second, start talking about fragging as publicly and often as you can on social media and in real life. Keep in mind at all times that the penalty for refusing draft summons or draft deployment is a far better alternative, even though it is a 5-year sentence in prison. We have no indication that a draft is imminent. We do have a heavy indication that the United States government under Donald Trump is considering one anyway.